If you apply to be an analyst at the agency, you'll have to apply to be a specific type of analyst, so it's important to understand the different flavors of analysts at the agency. My list of analyst types is not exhaustive, but it covers the main types I worked with during my career. See the agency's website for a more definitive list. I'll start with what might be the most common type of analyst, and that's political analysts, who can follow all aspects of a country's political system or specialize in one area, like foreign policy or domestic politics. They can cover everything from tribal relations to interstate conflict. Political analysts also tend to have political science or history degrees, often with a focus in international relations. Many of them come with specific regional expertise, while others are generalists. For political analysts, and all other types for that matter, you can also find people who have seemingly unrelated backgrounds ranging from forestry to philosophy. I always felt that first and foremost, I wanted to hire really smart people. So if I came across an English major who seemed perfectly suited to being an analyst, they still had a chance of getting hired. Military analysts, not surprisingly, follow military forces and issues. They can be narrowly focused and follow just the navy of a single country, for example, or they can cover all aspects of national security across a region. When I started my career as a military analyst, I was responsible for half a dozen countries and everything from an active insurgency in one to weapons of mass destruction development in another. Most military analysts have international relations backgrounds and were military history geeks like I was. Some also have military backgrounds, but that certainly is not a prerequisite. Economic analysts follow state economies, elements of the international economy like energy markets, other business and trade-related subjects. Not surprisingly, they tend to have economic degrees. Many have private sector business experience, often overseas. A lot of people mistakenly believe that an MBA is a great background for an economic analyst, but I rarely hired those because the MBA skill set doesn't translate as well to following foreign economies and economic policies as an economics degree does. Leadership analysts cover the political, military, and economic spheres of a country, but rather than focusing on the policies or institutions of that country, they focus on its people. They produce a product unique to their discipline, leadership profiles that succinctly summarize key foreign figures, focusing on their backgrounds, networks, and predilections. DA leadership analysts do not, however, do psychological profiles. They use the same tradecraft as other types of analysts. Most leadership analysts I know had the same types of backgrounds as political analysts. One of our early courses at Proficiency 1 will go into detail on how to conduct leadership analysis and write leadership profiles. Terrorism analysts, not surprisingly, cover terrorist groups around the world, addressing capabilities and intent, tracking threats, and assessing attacks. Unlike the other analysts I've mentioned so far, which are housed in various mission centers across the agency, terrorist analysts, not surprisingly, reside primarily in the Counterterrorism Mission Center or are on long-term rotation to the National Counterterrorism Center, which is under the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Most terrorism analysts have degrees in political science, but some did focus on terrorism while in school. Just an FYI that you won't find terrorism analysts listed as a formal analytic career track on the agency's website, but for our purposes it's worth differentiating it as a distinct type of analyst. Like terrorism analysts, science, technology, and weapons analysts tend to be focused in one mission center, in their case the Weapons and Counterproliferation Mission Center. These analysts apply their technical backgrounds to assessing other countries' weapons and technology development programs. They can follow accounts ranging from chemical warfare agent weaponization to missile flight dynamics to advanced materials. STW analysts tend to have very different backgrounds than the other types of analysts I've talked about. Most have some kind of STEM degree and have often worked in the private sector as everything from engineers to biochemists. Some come with very specific, somewhat arcane skill sets and focus on the same technical accounts their entire careers. Cyber threat analysts assess the cyber capabilities and activities of foreign states and non-state actors. They both write traditional finished intelligence products and work closely with technical counterparts to identify, monitor, assess, and counter foreign threats to U.S. information systems and critical infrastructure. Some cyber threat analysts come to the agency with strong backgrounds in cyber-related fields, while others come with general knowledge and are trained up once hired. Targeting analysts are spread throughout the agency and have a very different mission than the other types of analysts I've mentioned. Rather than supporting policymakers by writing finished intelligence, they use their analytic tradecraft and often some special IT tools to support a wide range of agency field operations. When I served as a targeting analyst, I felt much more like I was doing investigative work than writing analytic papers. and the details I didn't really care about as a military analyst became critical to me as I tried to track the purchase of WMD-related technology on the black market, for example. Targeting analysts have a wide range of backgrounds, and many start out as another type of analyst before shifting to targeting. There are a few other types of analysts that fall loosely under the analyst description, but tend to function somewhat differently, so I'm not going to go any depth on them here. The DA does have methodologists and data scientists who play a critical role working with other types of analysts on everything from methodological design for analytical projects to data exploitation. Regardless of what type of analyst you are, you invariably work with different types of analysts on any project. Sometimes you'll be part of a multidisciplinary team where everyone follows a specific country or region. Other times, you might be on a team of just military analysts, but you'll still need to work closely with political analysts who are working in the same country as you, for example, but on another team. Pretty much every project you take on will require the assistance and sign-off of your teammates and other teams throughout the agency and even the intelligence community as a whole. I'll talk more about the implications of that later. Now that I've explained a little about what analysts are, I'm going to talk next about what they actually do.